My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com, and our special guest tonight is vocalist Jim Crean. How you doing tonight, Jim?
Good, Jason. How are you, buddy?
Great. Now, we're talking, of course, because you've just put out your latest solo CD, London Fog, and it's a great follow-up to Insatiable, I got to tell you. And the cool thing, for anybody that hasn't purchased a new CD, I just want to let you guys know you're not going to just be getting one great new CD. Kind of as a companion CD to go along with the new CD, Jim's also putting out Got You Covered, which is a great album of cover tunes. So we're going to do a two-part interview. Tonight we're going to be talking specifically about London Fog in part one of this interview, and then in part two we're going to be talking about Got You Covered. So welcome back, Jim, and talk a little bit about the idea to kind of include the Got You Covered album. Are these tunes that you had laying around that just had never previously been released, or was this a project that where you recorded these tunes just for this?
No. I signed a deal with a really great label called Visionary Noise, Micah Jackson and Steve Sussman. So when we put the album out, sorry, let's rewind it. When we were doing a festival in Houston, and we were in the process of writing the songs for the new album, the London Fog album. We decided to put out a greatest hits album, and that was songs that comprised of my last 4 solo albums before this. So it really worked out well because we put a couple songs from the London Fog on there, just different mixes.
Uh-huh.
And then we decided that we should do we had so many songs for the London Fog album, which there's 14 songs on the album.
Yeah.
We decided that it would be neat to do a cover album as well and kind of have them go hand in hand. So the label got right behind it, and we did a cover album of 16 songs. So that's exactly how
And I know, like me, you're a huge Kiss fan, and we kind of talked about that last time I talked to you. And back especially in the '70s, Kiss always did things like that. They'd include little special, toy items and gimmicks and posters and stuff with their, always gave their fans a little extra. And I think it's cool you're doing that. And like you kind of mentioned, Insatiable, that was kind of where the solo release where a lot of people who didn't know who you were, Jim, kind of said, "Oh, okay, this is this guy Jim Crean. This is who he is." And a lot of people, that was kind of the launching pad for them to kind of get to know who you are. And this is a great, follow-up album. And I love the fact, like you said, the last CD had 12. You get a little, get like 2 more songs. And a lot of, I got to tip my hat to artists like you, Jim, because a lot of bands these days are just living off their catalog of music. Why bother writing any new tunes? Nobody really buys CDs these days. So I dig the fact that you're still into creating new music for your fans.
Well, I'm glad you noticed that, because it is true. A lot of bands, especially from the genre, that I grew up in and played in.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money to make an album, and it's just it's a hard return to get,
Yeah.
And but if you're passionate about it, and the label that I have with Steve Sussman and Micah, they got right behind me, and they're passionate like I am, and they like the material that we're putting out, and they decided to do 2 albums out of it. I think it's great because a lot of bands, like you said, just don't even release albums anymore, and that's a shame because with the digital platform nowadays, everybody's just kind of going that route. And I always believe that, like you said, you mentioned Kiss.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm a Kiss fan. I wouldn't say I'm a huge Kiss fan.
No, but I'm just kind of saying that, like them, you have that, I think, in common, where you seem to give your fans a little extra,
Yeah, no, Kiss I always respected, because Kiss was one of those bands that they were all about the fans, and they really were. They gave them, they get put down for being like, gimmicky and stuff, but I disagree with that. Yeah. I think Gene Simmons is great, and in that line of work, I think that he knows how to really package CDs. And I remember getting a live album, and it had that booklet that came out, and you just stared at that booklet for hours, and the artwork is just amazing in the Kiss stuff, and I kind of did the same thing. I always wanted to have booklets in my my stuff. And if you remember Insatiable, we had the booklet and
Yeah.
really great artwork. And then I decided with this stuff to do the same thing. The artwork was done by Jeff DeBurry. He does a great job. So I gave him Colleen Masterkova, my fiance. She did all the pictures, she did all the photography of it, and so I gave Jeff all the photos and stuff, and I really had a vision on how both albums I wanted to look like. So basically I just would tell Jeff exactly how I wanted it, and it came out exactly the way I envisioned.
Yeah, it's so cool that you got him to do that, because he's a guy I've also followed several years on the internet. He's got a huge little internet fan base of his own, and I've always been impressed not just with his music. Jeff is one of these guys that can kind of do it all. His primary instrument is he's primarily a drummer, but he sings lead. He writes all his own tunes. He plays bass, guitar, keyboards. He does everything. And then I've also noticed for several years he does all the artwork on all his own CDs and that. And I think it's great that he's finally branching out. He's got his radio thing he's doing now, and he's also got, this is like first time he's done like artwork for somebody else's album. And I think it's a great opportunity. Great that you guys are coming together like that.
And he's a good guy. That's the big thing in this business. There's not a lot of good guys.
Yeah.
That's the sad part about it. Everybody's in this business is about themselves and what can I get out of it, and me, and look what I did, and look what I can do. And Jeff's not that guy. And you can't be that way in this business, man. It's supposed to be fun. And when it becomes all about me, look what I did, the fun's gone. It's just like, and there's too much of that going on right now in this business, especially lately. I've noticed there's a lot of everybody's trying to vindicate what they can do and what they did, and it shouldn't be about that, man. Just let the music do the talking, and if it's good, you don't have to say look what I did and look what I did. Me, what do you think of my stuff? It should just be just do it and let it sit, and people will notice it.
And Jim, for anybody who's followed you, you're a cat that's really kind of you've paid your dues in a lot of ways. I mean, for years, you're still with the same band, Hair Nation. You guys are a great cover band, and I know you've been out doing that for several years. And because of those shows you've done with Hair Nation, people started to kind of take notice of you and what you do. And I understand that's how you first got involved with Carmine and Appice and that. And I know since we last talked and you put out the Insatiable CD, they put out that great the Appice CD, and I believe you play on you sing on 3 or 4 of the tunes. Are you still involved with playing with those guys?
Oh yeah. I've been with those guys for almost 9 years now, and you're right. I've been with Hair Nation for 21 years.
Wow.
So yeah, with Appice, we've toured all over. So I've made a name for myself in a lot of markets based on those guys, which is great because playing with the 2 best drummers in the whole world, in my opinion. By far, Carmine and Vinny, and those guys are class acts. They're great guys.
I see, that's such an interesting project to me because again, I've had the chance to interview Carmine before, and he's telling me, anybody that's followed him, his whole thing is like he doesn't want to be one of those drummers that kind of just keeps time and is in the back of the stage. He wants to kind of be the front man, the guy. He wants to bring the drums in the front of the stage, so to speak, and make everybody take notice. Which let's be honest, how could you not take notice of Carmine or Vinny Appice? But those guys together are such powerhouse drummers, and it's got to be amazing playing with both of them at the same time. You not just have one powerhouse drummer, but a guy on each side of a stage, so to speak. That's got to be a unique situation.
Well, like I said, I'm fortunate enough to be on 2 albums with those guys. We did a live album in 2014. Yeah. We did a show at the Iridium in New York City. We did 2 shows, and they recorded it and put it on a live album. And then the new album is called Sinister. I'm on 4 albums in the title track. And listen, playing with those guys, I've met so many people over the years with those guys, and they're really respectful towards me, and they treat me very well, and we're like brothers. We're like family. They treat Colleen really well, and it shows you how real musicians and true musicians, which them 2 are, they don't have to show off. They just are who they are. And it's great. I'm honored and blessed to be part of what they do, and they deserve to be up front. So when we do the Drum War shows, they're the main focus, and that it says a piece on the record for a reason.
Yeah.
It's their album. It's not me or any other guests on the record, and we know that. So when we did the album, there was a lot of big name guests on that record, like Bumblefoot.
Yeah.
Is on a song with me, and Rudy Sarzo and Phil Sasson, and a lot of guys like that. Great players, amazing players. Artie Dillon. I mean, some amazing players are on that record. And but it's about Vinny and Carmine. And it's called A Piece for a reason. It's their album.
Yeah.
Just like
And here's the thing. Last thing I want to kind of touch on regarding the Piece thing is I know they did when that album first came out. They did a show where they had. More than one of the singers get up on stage and perform the songs, and that's kind of a cool thing for people to see. Have a different singer get up there. What's that like for you? Like where you get up and you do kind of the tunes you sing on, and the other guys come up. That's got to be kind of fun.
Well, we didn't do it quite like that. What happened was we did a video. Paul Sortino, he was in Rip Cut and he was in Quiet Riot. Yeah. He did a song on the record, and so did my buddy Chaz West. He was in Bonham and bands like that. Yeah. And he did a couple songs on the record. So what we did is the song Monsters and Hero was a song written about Ronnie James Dio. Yeah. So what happened was we did a video for it, and the three of us all went up and sang it, and then we had Carrot Top come guest on it. Vinnie Paul was in the video, from Pantera. Yeah. Let's see, a couple other people too, and it was really cool. So it was really fun. I mean, and again, we all get along so well, me, Chaz, and Paul, that it was a really cool thing. And
it's such a cool project because you got all these cool musicians involved, but you are kind of still kind of the main guy that when they go out and tour and they can't get other guys, dude, you're kind of one of the main guys they call, and I think part of the reason for that is you're able to kind of you've got such a great voice, that you can do it all, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm the only guy. I'm the guy that they take with them. We did that. I was the main guy when we played that show in Vegas. We just had them come out and to do the video. So when we're out on the road, it's just me, and we usually get Artie Dillon's a guitar player. He plays. He's great. He's from New York, and Jimmy is a bass player, and he plays with Cactus, with Carmine and Cactus.
Wow.
Jimmy Caputo, yeah. So that's how we do it. And in some cities we get different, guitar players and bass players, but for the most part it's always me singing for them. And we do some Dio, and we do some Blue Murder, and we just do a lot of cool shit from their catalog. And it's Ozzy, and it's a really great show. So if anybody that gets a chance to go out and see, if we're in your town, you gotta come out and see it, because it's a great thing to see both brothers play at the same time like that in unison, and we do all the hits. So it's not just a drum show; it's a concert.
And the Sinister CD, anybody hasn't checked it out, I definitely say go and check it out. It's really well worth the money. And on that note, I just want to ask: has there been any talk of doing a follow-up album? Do you know, or is that something they're still thinking about?
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're in the middle of demoing right now. So we have, actually, me and Carmine and Artie, we've been writing a bunch of songs, and we've been demoing and stuff out. So it's absolutely happening, and we're going to do a follow-up to that album. And this time we're talking about just doing it with no guests, just doing the band. Me, Vinny, Carmine, Artie and Jimmy, and just doing it that way. And I think that would be a really cool way to do it, because we play these songs live.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you play them live and you're doing other people's stuff, it just doesn't sound like that. Yeah. But then we do the songs that we record, it sounds exactly like the record. So we decided that I think that's the right way to go about it. Just going to the studio and just making a real album like you did in the 70s. So that's the plan.
And getting back to the London Fog now. Oftentimes people will name the album after a song, which you did this time, London Fog. I was kind of curious, how did you come up with the title? Looking at the album cover to me, it does kind of look like you're on like a lonely London, British, English street,
Yeah, it's a cool title. There used to be a bar in the 60s called the London Fog in LA, where the Doors used to play. So I always thought that was a cool title, and it's just I took the pictures at a really historic castle, and Colleen did the picture. Colleen Mastercover did all the pictures, and the pictures came out great, and really set the mode of what I was trying to do with the record. So I said, wow, kind of looks like London Fog, and then I said that's gonna be the name of the album.
And then the photos, really authentic. I mean, real cool looking. Were they taken like, the United States, or taken in, actually in England, or where?
Well, they were taken in the United States here.
Oh, cool. But yeah, just looking at it, it looks like an old empty, a road somewhere in London. But so it looks very good. And of course, the album kicks it off with, Scream Taker. You're really rocking it up there. Talk a little bit about that track. I mean, that's kind of a unique track.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites on the record. Scream Taker it's a song written about Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, wow.
I'm a big Dio, fan. Ronnie was my favorite singer, so it's a song written about that, and it's got Vinny Appice on drums. It's got Rudy Sargent, who also played with Ronnie, and it's got the whole record has one of my favorite guitar players in the world, Steph Hahn. He's a French guitar player, and me and Steph basically demoed the whole album out before we released it. Really worked hard on this thing. Steph worked his tail off on this thing with me, from Steph playing bass, guitar, piano, keyboards, synths, everything. I mean, this guy just really did a number on this album, and I can't thank him enough because he's top notch. He's got as a matter of fact, I don't mean to change the subject, but we got another album coming out. So he guested on this album and did mostly all the guitar work on the whole album, and I'm doing a couple songs on his Hollywood Monster CD, so look out for that one as well. It's going to be great.
Check that out. Now, how did he? I've never heard this guy Stefano talking. Although he's listed on your album, like you said. You seem to be very impressed by his work. How did you first come across him?
We stumbled into each other. I did a show at the Whiskey with the Peace Brothers. Years ago, and Steph, I believe, was living in LA at the time, and then the brothers did a drum seminar type thing at some place, like they do these drum, I forget what they call them, like drum seminars, and Steph went to it and got to meet the brothers and everything, and somehow we got in touch with each other. It was that simple. And then before you know it, we were demoing songs, and now we're best of buddies, man. I mean, I love him. He's great. And we talk all the time, and his guitar playing, I mean, I don't know anybody even better than him. And that's true. I mean, he's that good and very underrated. He's very well known in Europe.
Yeah.
In the States, he's not known yet, but we're going to change all that. But in Europe, he's really well known and respected, and like I said, I can't say enough good things about Steph. I mean, he's just he's my guy.
And I know you've been doing a few shows promoting this. I was curious, are you just kind of getting local musicians as you tour across the country, or do you have a set group of guys that you're touring with now?
Well, I mean, we're doing shows. I play in the Hair Nation band, and it's the same band I've been using. Okay. We're calling it the Jim Crean band because these guys, I play with three of the best, in my opinion. I play with Dan Kaplan on guitar. It's A.D. Zimmer. He played with Lou Graham for years from Foreigner, and he's a bass player. And Colleen Mastercovo is the drummer, and it just makes most sense. I mean, we're playing these songs. We play out a lot with the Hair Nation project. Pretty much every week, we're playing festivals and big shows and smaller shows. It's wherever we're playing a lot. So it just made most sense to use that band. We started bringing in the originals and kind of doing them our own way, and it just makes a lot of sense to use those guys. So that's the plan. I mean, it just makes a lot.
You kind of got everything going now. You got your work with the Peace Brothers, and you got your solo thing going, and the Hair Nation. Now you say Hair Nation, you've been doing it for like about 21 years now. Let me ask. I know, like a lot of people, when you're getting started in the music industry, that's a great way to get started. Do either like doing a tribute band, a cover band type thing, because people go and they want to hear stuff that they know. And I'll tell you, for anybody that doubts what I'm saying, I have a huge respect for tribute artists, cover artists, because to me a lot of times it's like, and I've seen the photos of your Hair Nation band, Jim. You may do covers from various artists, but I tell you, you guys really dress up the part. You look cool. Yeah. To me, it's rock and roll theater is what it is. And because you're talking to a guy, I can't play a lick of music, but you know what? I have appreciation for anybody that can do what you do and your guys in your band do, and get up there, because it takes a certain level of talent to be able to get up there and play other people's music just as much. A lot of people, they trash it because they're playing other people's music. You know, they don't do original stuff. But that's how a lot of people get their start in the business. And to me, you know, it takes a certain talent to do that.
Well, I mean, I didn't get my start that way. I started in like 1981.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was 13 years old when I started doing music and playing live, and I was in a touring band doing all originals, and I toured, you know, in 86 and 87, 88. So, you know, I was cutting my teeth way back then. Yeah. You know, so, but what happened when the Hair Nation project came about, my manager, who was with me all those years, decided to, he had a show that he had put together, and he needed a band that he wanted to do, like an 80s type music band. So that's really how it came together. And, we just put it together as a one-off, and it went over so well. We started playing out every week to the point where it just was taken off. And here we are 21 years later, and it's, you know, our following's really big in the East Coast here. You know, we go up and down the coast and really draw big numbers. But yeah, the music, we don't try and sound like the bands that cover. That's our big thing. We don't like when we do a Skid Row song, I don't go, okay, I got to sing like Sebastian Bach. Cool. I want to sing like Jim Crean singing, you know, Skid Row. And if it's a Kiss song, I don't sit there, oh, I got to sound like Paul on this one. That's not our angle at all. A lot of tribute bands do that, which is really cool, and it's great to do that. But the way we do it is we have our own sound. We sound like Hair Nation. We might as well be an original band. We just take these covers and we just make them sound like us, so that people come up to me and go, man, I really like the way you sound on Balls to the Wall, for example, by Accept. I liked your version. I mean, I love their version too, but I like your version. And that's kind of what the whole idea of the whole, when I put this tribute together, I said, okay, I'm not going to just sit there and mimic every band we do. I'm going to try and just sound like me singing these songs, and good or bad, it's just going to be what it is. And I think that's the way, if you're going to tribute and be in a band, unless you're a real tribute band, like if you're a tribute band to Kiss, and you got to sound and dress and look like Kiss. But if you're doing it like a general tribute band like I'm in, you know, you just, if you get your own sound, people will want to go see you, because otherwise you're better off just listening to the original song, right?
Not only just having your own sound, but the other thing is you got your own unique look. And what I mean by that is anybody who goes on the Hair Nation you know, site or Facebook page, they're going to see you guys really look like you're putting on the ultimate rock show. You're not just up there in your jeans and t-shirts, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and we have our own look, like you said. We don't sit there and try and dress like any band. We do our own thing. I mean, it's cool. I'm blessed to be a part of it. And listen, we work, so I turn work down. Yeah. And you can't say that nowadays. A lot of bands I know, a lot of my friends, my peers who are in, you know, even national level guys who played, you know, in big bands in the 80s, they're struggling to get work, and I'm turning stuff down. You know, honestly, I'm getting phone calls from our agent, and he's saying, "Okay, got you here and there." I'm like, "Yeah, you know, we want that weekend off." And there's bands that would kill to have these dates, and we're turning them down just because, you know, we established ourselves to the point where we can be picky and choosy in what we do. So that's it. I'm in a good, unique situation with that. And of course, I love doing the peace stuff too. You know, that's always really fun, because I get out and we run to different cities, and you know, we go coast to coast with that. I mean, one week we played New York, Jersey, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and then the very next day we were in LA, San Diego, Seattle. Wow. So it was, you know, it's cool. And then, you know, you kind of already answered this, I think, but one of the other new tunes I really loved was 1981. I was going to ask you kind of, you know, tell me a little bit about why you want to go back to 1981, but I think you kind of answered that in saying that that's kind of when you got your start in the music business. That's awesome, man, that you like that, because that's one of my favorites too. It really is. It really is. It's great that you picked on that. 81 is a song. It's you know, 'cause when you start off in the music business, you start off, if you believe in music. I mean, some guys get into it for all the wrong reasons. They think they're going to get fame and girls and all that, which I never understood why you would join a band to do that, because you can do that anyways. You can get girls just to get girls. I mean, I love when guys say, "Oh, join a band so I can get girls." Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know, go lift weights and
work out and you get girls on.
Still do it, yeah.
You know, you do music because you love playing music. That's the only reason you should be in music. And if that isn't the case, well, you're not a musician. So that song, when I wrote it, it was about basically how fresh and fun music was to me, and the world was my oyster, and, you know, it just brought me back to good times. And over the years of doing music for so long, pretty much my whole life, it's take me back to '81. You know, when it was good and fresh, and I wasn't jaded and didn't deal with all this. It was just music was exciting.
And you know, you kind of touched on the fact that, you know, you were greatly influenced by the great Ronnie James Dio, and I can hear that in your voice, and the fact that if you listen to this new CD from top to bottom, one thing that is really obvious to me is that like you take a song like you know, the lead track, Scream Taker, okay, where it's just it's a balls to wall song. You're screaming your butt off, you know. You're reaching all those high notes like Ronnie could do, and then you got like you know, the ballad, the softer tunes, and you can sing like an angel, kind of like what Ronnie used to be able to do with his voice. You know, you can kind of go from one spectrum to the other. I think that's what people love so much about your singing style.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that as well, because and Ronnie taught me that, you don't always have to scream and sing really high to sound like you're singing high. Ronnie chose to use a lot of notes that sounds like he's singing really high, but he's really not. You know, and then he uses that real pretty voice, which when Ronnie wants to be pretty, there was no prettier voice than Ronnie. Just listen to Children of the Sea, you know. Yeah. And so that being said, that's kind of how I always pattern my style, you know, to show a diverse way to sing, you know, rather than just one note, one direction. I never really liked non-dynamic singers. I like very dynamic singers.
What's amazing, if you'd ever seen Ronnie perform live, I remember the last time I'd seen, they were calling themselves Heaven and Hell at the time, but it was really Black Sabbath. And last time I'd seen them play, the tour was with like Alice Cooper, Queensryche. That's the last tour I think they did with Jeff Tate and Ronnie. And when you're looking at them, the band up on stage, this little tiny guy, this powerhouse voice is coming out of it, just amazing.
Man, we'll never have another, and that's sad but true. We'll never have another. And you know, it's so funny, the whole Ronnie James Dio camp. I'm so surrounded by it at all times. Like, you know, Insatiable, as you know, you know, Jimmy Bain played his last recorded song ever on that. When we did the cover of Caught in the Middle, which was a tribute to, you know, off the Holy Diver album, and it featured Vinny Appice on drums and Jimmy Bain on bass, so it was Dio's rhythm section. And that album also, I had Rowan Robertson on there. He did a track on there. So he played with Ronnie at one point. This album, I have Reese Argel. He played with Ronnie. I played with, and Vinny's on most of the album. And Carl Kennedy from the Rods. He was a phenomenal drummer. Great guy, amazing guy.
And actually, for people that don't know, the band The Rods, they were an old school New York rock band that you're talking about, and the lead singer was actually Ronnie's cousin, David Rock Feinstein, I believe his name is.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going with this. And Rock is another, just a sweetheart. He's a great guy. And he also owns I'm going to give him a shameless plug, but he owns an amazing restaurant. And it's in Cortland, New York, where Ronnie's from.
Wow.
And so I'm always surrounded by the Dio camp. I mean, Angelo, who produced a lot of the Dio stuff, he does sound for us with the Appice Brothers. So there's a lot of Ronnie always around me. So it's a great feeling to be embraced by Ronnie James Dio. And
anybody doesn't know Rowan Roberts, an interesting story about him. At the time he played with Ronnie, Ronnie discovered him like he was a 17-year-old guitar whiz at the time, coming over here to America, playing for the first time, and he played just on the one album, and I think he stayed here in Hollywood. I've interviewed him a few times. Real cool cat, and I think now he's playing with the band DC4.
He is, yeah. And Rowan played with us in Drum Wars, did some shows with us. So I've worked with Rowan a bunch of times, and that me and him became friends. And like I said, he lended his talents on the Insatiable album.
And then the last thing I want to say, Dio related, is anybody ever gets a chance to go, it's actually Ronnie's surviving band members. They go by the name of Dio Disciples, and most of the time they have Tim Ripper Owens and Oni Logan covering the vocals. And I went to see one of these shows in Anaheim, California, at downtown Disney at the House of Blues, and it was almost like Electrical Church. I mean, these guys, of course, they're working musicians. They're doing it, to make a living, but they were really there, as well as the fans, for the love of Ronnie, if you know what I mean. And it was literally like Electric Church. Everyone was up on their feet, and it was like an experience I'd never experienced before.
Yeah, they're all great guys too. It's Craig does that.
Yeah.
So Craig runs that band, and it's sanctioned by Wendy, and it's a great thing. So it's a great thing that Ronnie's legacy still, the music's being heard, and it's out there still, because you can't let Ronnie's music die with him. It's just too special, and I think it'll live on. In all honesty, I think it'll live on, because again, he touched so many people, and his music was just so beautiful, So
yeah, and getting back to your album, London Fog, you got a lot of great special guests. I mean, there's really too many to name, but people could just look on the back cover. I mean, you got guys like talking about great guitar players. Robbie Lochner, he's playing with Jack Russell these days.
I want to shout out to Robbie, because Robbie is one of my favorites also on the scene right now. Robbie's a great guy and a great friend, and he's an amazing guitar player, a very underrated guitar player. He played with Rob Halford and Fight.
Yes.
And Robbie is just, his talent is just unbelievable. He played on my Insatiable album as well. He did the title track to Insatiable. And look that up. His solo has just really made that song complete, and it really did on the Insatiable album. The song's good, but then when Robbie started doing his guitar work, it just took it to a next level. And Robbie's just a phenomenal guitar player. I just wanted to add that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I was going to say Robbie is one of these guys. I think he's very underrated. A lot of people might be surprised to learn, but he did play with Rob Halford and Fight back in the day, and playing with Jack Russell these days in his version of Great White. And I think if he'd come on the scene a little earlier, he would have been one of these guys that got noticed, like Warren DeMartini or one of those Guitar Hero type guys. But he's still doing what he's doing, and you got to love it.
Yeah, no, he's great, and like I said, he's a great guy too. And that's, again, I keep going back to the great guy. This guy's a great guy. If you're not a great guy, you can be a great musician. If you're not a great guy, who cares?
Yeah, and then you got Chris Holmes. Now he's an interesting cat. A lot of people know him primarily from his days with Wasp, and the last several years he's been living, I know, in Europe, kind of been under the radar. How did you hook up with him?
I didn't really hook up with him. Steph Hond joined his band. It was going to be called Mean Men, and Steph joined the band as his guitar player, and was working with him for about a week. And then that was in the middle of us recording this album, and Steph said, "Hey," he called me up and said, "Hey, Chris, I played Chris some demos, and he really loves your voice, and would you be interested? Would you want him on the record?" I said, well, "Yeah, of course, if he wants to do it." So he goes, "All right, I'll get him to record tomorrow." So Steph set that whole thing up, which is really cool. And honestly, Chris did a great job, man. It's really cool.
And so you recorded this album like a lot of I would call it a modern way. A lot of these guests, like you said, you weren't necessarily in the studio with them, but they would kind of cut their part of and send it to you. So when they're when like Robbie Lochner or Chris Holmes sends you these guitar tracks, do you immediately know what track you want to use their solo on, or what's that process?
It's before that. I send them the song I want, and then they just play the song to it. Yeah, so they don't just send me a lead.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So I got to send them the song, and then they they put the lead to it. But I leave it all up to them. I don't tell them anybody what to do or what to play.
Yeah.
I want their creative juices to flow. So and Robbie never disappoints. I mean, can't say enough good things about him. He's just a great guitar player, man.
And another mutual friend of ours you got on here, featured on here as well, is Rick Fox. And did you how did you meet him? Because he's one of these guys who's been kind of under the radar for several years. And I think it's a great opportunity for him to get involved with something like this.
Yeah, he's on there. Yeah, I got Tony Franklin too from the Firm.
Oh yeah, Tony. He's another.
Tony also played on my last record as well. Tony played on a song on my last record with Mike Tramp, whom I got Mike on this album as well, which Mike's a really good friend of mine. Mike is a great guy. You know, Mike's one of those guys that I've been friends with for a while, and, you know, he played on my last album, Insatiable. We did Can't Find My Way, an old Freak of Nature song. Yeah. And then we decided I asked Mike to play on this album again. And he said, well, what do you want me to sing on it? And I said, let's do Freak of Nature again. So we did Candle. It's really cool.
And then I also kind of Mike Tramp, White Lion related, just to mention the Gotcha cover CD for a minute. You guys did a great, you did, Jim, did a great cover of White Lion's Hungry.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that. Again, the cover album was more or less a fun thing to do. Yeah, it was an afterthought, really, of the album, the Insatiable. I mean, the Insatiable album is really what it's all about, you know.
And the thing I loved, we'll get more into this, the Gotcha covered CD in part 2 of the interview, but I just want to finish up on this. One thing I loved about, of all your albums, really, that you put out is you always do a great job of picking great tunes to cover. I mean, like the last one you said on Insatiable that you did with Mike Tramp, rather than going with the White Lion, track, you went with the Freak of Nature track, which is great. And then like on the Gotcha covered, you cover Hungry instead of maybe one of the more popular tunes like Wait or Little Fight or something that's was on the radio and all over MTV. So I think it's great how you pick some of these cover tunes that people might not even be aware of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I do that. Obviously, there's a motive to that. Great songs need to be reheard. So, with White Lion, that song, which back in the day was a great song.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it kind of got lost, when you think of White Lion, you think of When the Children Cry or Wait or, The Fighter, like you said. So that song, I want to bring it back to the forefront. And on that cover CD, there's a song called The Warning by Victory that no one in the States here knows. And I covered that. And it's just a song that I always thought, man, why didn't this song get radio airplay in the 80s?
I'm glad you brought that up because, when I got my CDs you sent me in the mail, I'm looking at the Gotcha covered, the songwriting credits. And as I see the song listing for The Warning, I immediately go to thinking, they're covering, he's covering the Queensryche song. And I, of course, look at the credits. No, that's not Queensryche. That's some other band.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you have to look it up to even just research it to even hear the original because it's not a known song. Yeah. And it's just really a great song. So that's why I put that one on there.
And speaking of cover tunes, two other tunes I love on the London Fog album is the old, of course, Rod Stewart one called Passion. But again, that may not... Most people, they think of Rod Stewart, they might immediately think of Do You Think I'm Sexy, Maggie May, Gasoline Alley, or something like that. And I thought it's a great tune to kind of pick to cover.
Yeah, well, what happened with that is, Carmine was going to be on the record. He was on my last album too. He was on Can't Find My Way with Tony Franklin and Mike Tramp, and there's a video out there of it. And so he was going to be on the record, and I said to Carmine when we were picking songs, I initially sent him, what song did I send him? I sent him Lady Beware, I think. I don't know, one of the songs on the record. I sent him one of the songs, and he called me up and said, well, I like it, but it doesn't really challenge me. Because Carmine's that good where he needs to be challenged. Yeah. And so I said, well, I got an idea. I'm just throwing it at you. Why don't we cover Passion by Rod Stewart, make it more of a heavy, hard rock song? He goes, that's brilliant. Okay, let's do it.
Wow.
So I called Tony Franklin, and Tony's like, I'm on board. He was in. And I called Steph. Well, I got a hold of Steph. So me, Steph, Tony, and Carmine did it, and it came out really cool. It's different than the original, but in a hard rock way. And honestly, I think it came out probably one of the best songs on the record. It's not my favorite song on the record, but it's probably the best sounding song on the record. Mm-hmm. I think it came out really, really good. I mean, it's just really clever how we did it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and then another great cover tune on here. Now, people may have heard this song and not even know it. I remember the Robin Zander tune, which is Time Will Let You Know. No, folks, this is not a Cheap Trick tune. This is actually, I think in early 90s, Robin had released a solo album, if I remember, and that was one of the songs on there.
That's exactly what happened. I'm a huge Robin Zander fan. You know, Robin's one of my favorite singers as well. Pop singers. He's by far one of my favorite singers. So that album came out, and I remember running to the store and getting that album when it first came out. And I heard that song. The rest of the album's decent. I mean, it's good. But that song, I thought to myself, wow, this is the hit. This is the song. And nothing came of it. And so all those years, it just kind of harvested. I would always listen to it from time to time.
Yeah.
And when we decided to do the cover CD, I said, I'm going to put Time Will Let You Know on there. So I got a hold of Steph, and me and Steph put it together. And we had this drummer in France called Eric Labelli. He's an amazing drummer. He's a French drummer. And so we got a hold of him to do it. And then my bass player from Hair Nation, A.D. Zimmer's on it. So we recorded. It came out so good. I said, I got to put this on the London Fog album. It's that good. You know, because it was going to be on Got You Covered. Yeah. And then I said, no, this is just too good to put on a cover CD. It's got to go on my original CD. So that's why that's on there. But it's a great one, man. Yeah,
Robin Zander, he's always, like you said, he's one of my favorite vocalists of all time. And you never go wrong with Cheap Trick. But, you know, oddly enough, I'm kind of surprised that solo album was the only one he ever did. But again, I guess playing with Cheap Trick obviously pays the bills more. But he's another one of these guys that he can do everything from like singing a song like Gonna Raise Hell, The Dream Police, to a song like The Flame, which is a major power ballad.
No, he's great. I mean, Robin's, I would say he's underrated, but he's not underrated.
Oh no, you can't really say that.
He needs to be. He's great. He's top of the line. And he still sings like that to this day at his age. And there's no one better than Robin right now out there. I don't think.
In fact, I hear
no better singer than Robin out there.
Talking about Kiss for a minute, I heard Ace Frehley has a new solo album he's releasing next month. It's actually a cover CD too, and he has Robin Zander as one of the guest vocals doing like an old, I forget which song, but it's an old Humble Pie tune.
I saw that. That's gonna be neat.
That's gonna be neat. And then now talk about like another thing I gotta compliment you on is Jim. Is your songwriting style. Like when you go in the studio, do you have everything pretty much written before you start recording? Do you write like from jamming the songs out? What's your process?
Yeah, I had all these songs written, all the originals all written, and then but demoed. I just with the drum machine and whatnot, and I have a home studio at my house, so I would just demo everything, and then I sent everything to Steph, and then I sent all the the guitars and the drums and everything to Steph, and Steph listened to it, and then he put his amazing abilities over top of it, because he's a heck of a lot better guitar player than I am, and it was just wonderful how it came together, and that's how I write. I come up with an idea, either vocally, I'll start singing a song, grab a guitar, and then just write the guitar parts to the vocal, or I'll do the vice versa. That I'll just have the vocal.
And I know another guy you worked with really a lot over the years. Is this guy Steve Majors? He did some work I know with Mark St. John, but he does a lot of production work, and you actually co-produced the album with him. Talk a little bit about how you and him first got together.
Me and Steve been together for about 25 years.
Wow.
He produced my my second album, Elegance, Excellence, and Decadence. He produced Velvet Crush. He produced Insatiable. He produced in these two albums. So he's produced five albums of mine already. So he's the only guy I really trust with my stuff, because he knows my vision. Yeah. When I send him stuff, I don't have to second guess anything. He knows what I'm looking for. It's always exact. Me and him are on the same exact page. And Steve, I trust with, and he's a great guy too. He's a good friend of mine, and that's important too. He'll go the extra mile for me. So.
And now when Jim Crean goes out and does a live solo performance, you've got, like you said, 5 solo albums worth of material. Is it
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right?
Oh wow, okay. So my question was going to be, is it hard to come up with a set list? And I ask that because you got all this material, but probably if you're honest with yourself, a lot of people know probably just from Insatiable album and this album because they're the last two things you put out. And my question is, how do you go about picking classic stuff from maybe the first or second album versus the newer stuff that people are more familiar with?
Well, I mean, the Velvet Crush album, actually, believe it or not, did very well in Europe. When that first came out, it was on Melodic Revolution Records, and Nick Katana really did a good job really pushing it in the European market. So that did pretty well. My first solo album, we had a video out for a song called Running On Through the Night. And the video aired on MTV a bunch of times back in '93. So, and it actually went into a contest where I made it to the finals, and the band Fuel, beat me out in the finals.
Wow.
Yeah. So that song, it really was out there. But when I go out live now, we pretty much just do stuff from Insatiable and the new records because I really want to push the new record, and because both of those albums are just more of the rock vein that that we sound like. Yeah. So we did the show recently at the Whiskey in LA, and it's going to be filmed for a DVD and a live album. And those songs on there are predominantly songs from Insatiable and the London Fog album. And
now let me ask you, because that's a unique situation that when you recorded that show, neither of the two albums were out yet, So a lot of the fans are hearing this stuff on London Fog, for example, being performed for the first time before even hearing the tune. So what's that like?
Well, a lot of bands do that nowadays. Yeah. They do that. So I was kind of prepared for that.
Yeah.
We had some we had some people from New York here fly in, which was kind of cool. They flew in to go see us play and made a vacation out of it. And so I got them advance copies so that they would at least know the songs, right?
Yeah.
So so people were out in the audience singing the songs. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's always neat when you release new music on the world, because it's fresh.
And again, for the fans, it's a cool thing because, like you said, it's something exciting. This is a new tune. We haven't heard this one yet. Oh, this is gonna be on the new album. That's great. We're hearing it for the first time before anybody else. And since London Fog just came out, I was kind of curious. The live album that was filmed at the Whiskey, is there going to be a DVD to go with it as well?
Yes, it's a live album and DVD.
Oh, cool.
Ford Fisher, really well respected, renowned videographer.
Yeah.
He does stuff for like CNN and stuff like that. He filmed the whole concert for us. His crew came out and filmed. We did like a 5-camera shoot, and it came out really cool. Instead of seeing some of the video now, it looks great, and it came out really good. So we're going to release that. We're hoping to release that in October, definitely by November. So that's going to be a really nice package. It's going to be a DVD.
Okay, that's cool. So that will actually be coming out this year, kind of pre-holiday season. That's a cool thing.
That's the idea.
Again, it'll be like the third thing we're getting from Jim Crean in 1 year. That's something again.
It could be the fourth thing because we did the greatest hits.
Oh yeah.
We did the greatest hits. We did London Fog, got you covered, and we're going to put out a live DVD from the Whiskey live album combo. So it's going to be a two-disc combo.
Wow.
It'll be the video and the DVD and two separate.
Now with the video portion, is it just a performance, or do you have any interviews or backstage stuff?
That's cool you asked that because it's going to have a lot of that cool stuff. We filmed a video when we were in LA for the one song Broken, so that's going to be on there. And then, of course, we did a video for the Passion. That's going to be on there, and some other goodies are going to be on there, some backstage stuff, some interviews.
Cool. That's definitely stuff to look forward to. And now, I know that's not the first time you played the Whiskey, but I got to ask, you got being the great musician and performer you are now. You of course, like a lot of other musicians, you're fans of other people yourself. So, what's it like to be up on that stage, like on the Whiskey? You're performing. You're recording a live DVD in that night, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm playing on the same stage where bands like the Doors play. That's got to kind of be going through your mind.
Well, I mean, initially, I played there probably 10 times already.
Okay, so maybe not now, but once upon a time.
Well, the first time I played there, for sure. I played there with Hair Nation, 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it was cool because we did like an opening thing, so it was cool. But it was that feeling, like you said, playing the whiskey. Although a lot of iconic things happened there, so it was cool that it had that whole feel about it. Yeah. And then the second time we played it, we headlined it with Hair Nation, and that was great. Then of course I played there a bunch of times with the Appice brothers, and that's something. So, but this was cool because it was Jim Crean as a headliner, so that was kind of cool.
And now, let me ask you, Jim. It's kind of this may sound like a funny question, but Hair Nation, the fact that you guys have been together so long, doing what you do for like over 21 years. It may seem like a funny type of question, but have you ever thought of the band doing like either like something like that where you film a show, or you put out like a live DVD, CD, or even go in the studio and you guys cover some of your favorite cover tunes, or even say, okay, since we're Hair Nation, we'll do an album, half cover tunes, half original tunes, or has that ever crossed your mind?
We've been asked to do that for probably the last 10 years. Honestly, I had a label come to me and say, why don't you guys record, go in the studio and record some of these versions of the songs. Yeah. And we're always like, yeah, I'd be up for something like that. And then, so I've been asked that, and you never say never. Yeah. I mean, we're thinking about doing maybe, on the 20th anniversary, we were going to do like a 20 years of Hair Nation, because I got a lot of video footage floating around, and we just didn't get around to doing that just because we work so much, to be honest with you.
And again, like I said, it seems like maybe a silly question because you're thinking, oh well, we're just a little cover band, but you got to think in the back of your mind too. Hey, we've been doing this for 21 years. We've there aren't a lot. Let's be honest, there aren't a lot of cover bands that have been doing it for that long. And I mean, I will say this. I have a lot of respect for, like, for example, what Steel Panther does, because
for sure.
Because, for example, Ralph, he goes by Michael Starr now, but it used to go by the name Ralph Sinez. He was briefly in L.A. Guns, and prior to that, he was in the Atomic Punks, and he actually left L.A. Guns to go back to do Atomic Punks for a while because he was making more money doing the David Lee Roth thing, and then he kind of got the idea. You know what? Instead of being like in a tribute band, let's put this band together. It's got to be like a tribute to the scene, but we're going to do our own original music, and it's kind of a unique little project, but look at what he's been able to do with that.
Listen, man, I respect that band because that band they're very, very talented. We played a bunch of shows with them. We opened for them a bunch of times, and
I can see that.
Yeah, it was really fun, and I mean, come on, he's a great singer, and they're a great band. I mean, it's Satchel's a phenomenal guitar player.
Oh yeah, Satchel, I think he also played with Rob Halford, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but they're a great outfit. Yeah, great outfit, great band of guys, and
I respect them a lot. They worked hard. They paid their dues. A lot of people think, oh, instant success. They paid their dues. They were called Metal Shop, and they were kicking around for years. Playing the whiskey, every Thursday was it, for a year.
Yeah, but again, like even talking about tribute bands. I mean, the tribute band scene here in LA and really all around the world is pretty big today. I mean, but I remember back in the day, like in the early '90s, you had bands like the Atomic Punks, Iron Maidens. These are the bands that are still around today doing that. Nobody, I think, nobody does David Lee Roth better than, for example, Ralph Sinez. I mean, you could close your eyes and you'd swear you were listening to Diamond Dave,
He looked like him too. He did the whole look, and he was great, man.
And you look at like Iron Maidens. That's an all-female tribute to Iron Maiden. They've been able to take their thing around the world. They've done shows in Russia, Japan, Mexico, and you think, this is a tribute band doing Iron Maiden, but they got a unique thing. It's all female, so people go to the show to check it out just for that.
I love it. I mean, it's cool. And listen, just because they're playing other people's music doesn't mean they're not good musicians.
No. But a lot of people have that perspective, shall we say, and it's a wrong opinion to have.
Of course it is, because a lot of those musicians that are in these tribute bands are better than guys that are in original bands. It's just a fact.
People may be surprised. For example, Nina Strauss. She's a hot female guitar player. Plays with Alice Cooper these days. She put out a great solo album. That's where she got her start by Iron Maidens.
Yeah, I know. We just played 2 shows with her a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's why I laugh when people say rock is dead. I believe there's some great new artists out there. I mean, I put you among those, like the Dead Daisies, Nina Strauss, who we mentioned, John Five. just there's some awesome players. You just got to be able to pick them out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them out there left, that's for sure. And but it's cool to see. It's cool when you see, everybody out there still doing it. There's not a lot of bands doing this kind of music anymore, unfortunately.
And I think that's why you come across as so authentic, Jim, because you've got a unique voice that you could probably do any style of music, but you got that kind of 80s rock sound. That's what you're into, and that's why I think your music comes across as so authentic. You're not like type of artist that, well, we're going to have a grunge tune, we're going to have a dance tune, we're going to have this tune. You go with what your heart's into, and that's why people love what you do, because you come across as so authentic. And you can hear you're singing from the heart.
I was offered this. I have a friend who has a lot of big connections in the country world, and he's always saying to me, "Man, you should just write some country songs." Big. I don't want to say what bands, but he discovered a couple really, really big country bands, and they played clubs when he had them, and now they're playing like arenas. So and I just couldn't do it. I was just like, it's not for me. I'm holding the torch. I don't know why I'm still holding the torch, but I'm holding the torch.
And it's funny because a lot of the 80s rock guys are either moving to Las Vegas. That's become, they call that Music City, I guess, or as well as Nashville. A lot of people are retiring, going to Nashville, writing songs for other people, because it's a way to make a living,
Well, and I respect that. Yeah. I mean, come on. The older you get, if you can't really still hit the notes and everything, that's the worst when you see these guys out there singing and you're like, man, stop. I don't like that either. Yeah. If you can still do it, you do it. If you can't, move on to something new. I get it, but unfortunately, there's a passion, and fans still want to hear that music, so these guys go out there and it's like a cash cow to them. They go out there and they phone it in, and it looks terrible, sounds terrible, but it doesn't matter, so I guess that's happening still. And my opinion on that is you move on to something new,
and as far as London Fog, I was curious with the writing and the recording process. Like I said, the modern way is kind of everybody records their parts separately in that, but from the time you started writing all these songs to the time you recorded the last track, what was that process like? Did it take you several months? What would you say? What was the amount of time it took you to kind of from writing process to the final track?
About 2 years.
Wow. That's dedication.
Well, me and Steph started working on this about 2 years ago, and we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this thing. I mean, again, I'm going to throw Stephen more publicity because he deserves it. He worked his ass off on this thing with me. I mean, me and him had many sleepless nights where we're sending files back and forth because he's in Europe, or he's in France. I'm sorry, he's in France, and I'm here in New York, and we're back and forth. Some nights I'm down recording at 4 o'clock in the morning, doing vocal parts, sending them back to him because of the time difference. He's working on it. He's putting it together, and then maybe sending me a new guitar riff. And we did this stuff for about a year.
Wow.
And then after that, that's when I decided, well, I'm going to start calling my friends again and seeing who wants to be on this thing. Yeah. And that's kind of how it all started happening.
Wow. And I got to say,
a shout out to my buddy Frank Domino too, because Frank's on there from Angel.
And, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was so excited. I was so excited to see that Punky and him are getting back together, and they're putting out a new Angel studio album. It's not all the original guys, but it's two of the main guys, and
it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. In fact, I think it's gonna be coming out next month, so that's something to really look forward to.
Frank's a great guy. I met Frank years ago, and we were doing a drum war show and a Peace Brothers show in Vegas, and Frank happened to be there. And I'm a big Angel fan. I was a big influence, but Frank's a big influence of mine. So I had Frank come up and do some songs with me and him. We sang together, hit it off really well, became friends, and he sang on. He actually played in Caught in the Middle. Me and him did Caught in the Middle with Vinny and Jimmy Bain, and, on the last album. So. And then Frank was kind enough to sing again on my album, and he said, "What do you want to cover?" And I said, "Well, let's do an Angel song." He goes, "Really? Awesome, man!" That was before him and Punky were really doing anything.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that we got to do that song. But again, I mean,
and another Angel member, kind of people may be interested to know this. Greg Jaffrey, who's the original keyboard player, he was also in the band. House of Lords, and
Yes.
he's kind of retired because from what I understand, he discovered some kind of like computer chip that they put in all the
Yep.
slot machines, and he's become a multimillionaire that way. So that's great too. But everybody's kind of doing what they want to do, and I just want to thank you once again for taking time to talk to me, because I'm really enjoying the new album. And so, like I said, me and Jim will be talking again next week, doing part two of the interview. We'll be talking about more specifically about the Gotcha cover and all the great cover tunes you got on there. So look forward to that, Jim. So once we record the part two of the interview, I'll be letting you know when the stuff will get posted, and you can tell all your friends and your family and your fans, and we can go from there. And one final thing, Jim, before I let you go. When the live DVD gets ready to come out, I'd love to help you promote that as well. So let's definitely keep in touch, okay, my friend?
For sure. Let me just give a few more shout-outs to some great players that are on the record.
Sure.
Because there's some great, everybody worked their tail off on this record. I want to give a shout out to Ray Tabano. He's the original Aerosmith guitar players on here.
Oh, wow.
He was the original guitar player from Aerosmith. He's Steven Tyler's best friend.
Wow.
And Steven's another big influence of mine. So Ray's on this album. Artie Dillon, who plays with me in Drum Wars. Baron Kubris, he's really big bass player. He plays in Blind Guardian in Europe. Amazing bass player. Chris Tristram, you mentioned House of Lords. He's in the House of Lords right now, playing with them.
Wow.
Dave Pontrello is a studio session player. Freddie Villano, who played with Quiet Riot and Peace United Widowmaker.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and of course, one of my favorite guitar players, Mitch Perry. Mitch played with MSG, Michael Schenker Group. He played with Cher. He's currently playing with The Sweet. And Mitch did an amazing job on the record. So
I think he also played another legendary cat he played with would be Edgar Winter, I think.
He did. He played with Edgar Winter, and he played one of my favorite bands called Talus.
Oh yeah. Going back to the legendary Billy Sheehan.
Yeah. So he's so there's a lot of great talent on the record. So pick it up. You can always go to jimcrean.net and check that out.
Okay, well, it's been great talking to you, Jim, and we will be doing it again next week. So I'll send you out a reminder the night before just so you don't forget. But thanks for talking to us today, and we'll be talking again next week.
Thanks, Jay. You be good.
Bye-bye.